because none of us can master all the first lines. And obviously, that's part of the design configuration. We have, as a result, become dependent on exponents of those first lines to be our teachers, to be our authorities. And if you look at every single one of the 64 hexagrams, what you're looking at is 64 archetypal false authorities. In other words, this is the way we've been conditioned, and we've been conditioned by those who are representatives of what will alleviate the fear of any of those particular hexagram formulas. And so we end up with a diversity of solutions, truths, all kinds of examples of foundations, this and that, and so forth and so on. And you see, there is no way that we can trust it. There's no way that we can trust the truth of one hexagram to be the truth of all hexagrams. That is, there's no way we can trust one teacher to be the truth for all of us. So important. See, in the end, everything is about recognizing that the outside is inside, that the authority that we've always sought on the outside is what we have naturally on the inside. That the gifts that we thought, that the direction that we thought we needed, that the security that we yearn for, we were conditioned to believe that that was out there and that we had to answer to that and learn from that. It is very, very difficult when you see how dense my last 15 years doing this job. I am astonished at how dense the not self is. I mean, how dense it is. How powerful it is. I mean, it's powerful. These not self strategies that are rooted in open centers, how profound they are, how powerful they are, how they don't give up easily. They really don't. And as long as the not self rules, outside authority is what's always being sought. I like the contradiction of my role. Contradiction is natural for a 5-1. There is this seemingly funny contradiction. I've been forced, no choice, to teach you. In order to teach you to no longer pay attention to anyone like me. That's my whole purpose. To teach you so that when we meet as equals. We meet as equals in the sense that we meet as differentiated beings. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with those who live as themselves, rather than being a teacher. Teaching people how to come to a true disrespect of outer authority. It's the heretic in me. The heretic in me looks at outer authority and says, oh, they don't know. They truly don't know. The whole point for us is our own authority. And the longer I've been involved in this process, the more difficult I see that it is. Because I see that it's not simply a matter of experimenting with one strategy, but recognizing that everybody that is around you and so many remnants that are within you are still responding to the need for an outside authority. Think about all the ones that are there in your design, whatever ones you have. They're like burrs You know, burrs, these very, very sharp little dried out things that have pointy spikes on them, then they hook into your flesh. You know, they're burrs. They just sit there. And they sit there and they just keep pricking you with their fear. And of course, what happens is that no matter where those first lines are within your design, the not self is not going to resolve those dilemmas. And at the same time, because the not self is attracted to what it is not, you know, that's its genetic imperative, that it is going to look for authority, some authority, to take away that burr. You know, it's a vicious circle of the ignorant leading the ignorant. If you're operating correctly, that's the most incredible thing about type and human design. Now, after all, we've never been able to get to a point where we have a synthetic mechanic that we can actually use as a viable, statistically valid tool to eliminate conditioning and to operate correctly as ourselves. It's quite a thing to say. And at the moment that you're operating correctly as yourself, and you don't get a halo, the moment you're operating correctly as yourself, what's actually happening is that all of those aspects and their motivations begin to operate as an effective formula. That aspect that you have there that is a first line or first color aspect, that aspect is going to be resolved in the course of you operating correctly as yourself. Not only is it going to be resolved, but it will fulfill whatever the other side of its binary process is. I mean, remember, these are all binaries. You know, it's one of the things about, you know, teaching. You know, you don't separate teaching and learning. You know, you don't. These are all binaries. But to really see that the moment that you're operating correctly as yourself, you're going to go through the natural binary that's there. And the way in which you're motivated and the way in which you operate is going to be correct. You know, this is the only way to get there. You can't get there by putting your finger on every one of them and trying to manipulate them. Because, you know, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. It helps. It helps intellectually. After all, everything about human design is that human design is here to resolve the question of mind and to resolve the reality of the Maya, which is a mental construct, to be able to explain the mental construct of the Maya to those who participate in it.